Let us pray. O Lord, grant us the daily awareness of the precious gift of life which you have given us. As members of this legislative assembly, we dedicate our lives anew to the service of our province and our country. Amen.
Introduction of visitors. Presenting petitions.
Member for Edmonton Goldbar.
Speaker, I beg leave to present a petition from parents and friends of lesbians and gays requesting the Assembly to urge the government to introduce legislation which would provide protection to gays from discrimination on the basis of their personal and private sexual preference between consenting adults.
Edmonton Meadowlark.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to present a petition urging the government of Alberta to reinstate funding for seniors' services that were reduced in the 1991-92 budget, including dental and optometric care, Alberta Aids to Daily Living, senior home heating program, and the non-prescription drugs program.
West Yellowhead, followed by Calgary McKnight.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I'd like to table petitions on behalf of the senior citizens of Hinton who have signed somewhere over 1,700 petitions to encourage the government to reinstate funding for an extended care unit in the town of Hinton.
Calgary McKnight.
Petition signed by 22 teachers from St. Bede's School in Calgary McKnight. The purpose of the petition is to urge the legislature to respond favorably to ATA Resolution 22691.
Thank you.
Reading and receiving petitions.
Stony Plain.
Mr. Speaker, I would request that all of the petitions submitted on behalf of the teachers by all of the members of the New Democratic Caucus be read and received. What that would mean, Mr. Speaker, is the petition would be read once. Thank you.
We, the undersigned, as professional staff members of various schools, urge the Legislative Assembly of Alberta to accord favorable consideration to the following resolution, adopted by teacher representatives of the Emergent Representative Assembly of the Alberta Teachers Association on September 28, 1991. Resolution 22691, be it resolved that the Alberta Teachers Association return to negotiations with the government with a view to concluding a new agreement in which A, teachers and the government jointly contribute the full amount of all future service costs to the Teachers' Retirement Fund. B, the government assumes full responsibility for the total unfunded liability related to past service costs and adopts an acceptable plan for retiring that debt. C, the government amends the TRF Act to provide full cost of living adjustments to pensions. And D, the other changes incorporated in the May 4th, 1991 Memorandum of Understanding are retained. Presenting reports by standing and special committees. Notices of motions. Introduction of bills.
Member for Edmonton Mill Woods.
Speaker, I request leave to introduce a bill, the Legislative Assembly Amendment Act, which would provide, if passed, for the election of the Speaker of the Assembly and would thus bring the Alberta Legislature in conformance with other jurisdictions who do the same.
The honourable member for Edmonton Mill Woods has moved first reading of Bill 273, Legislative Assembly Amendment Act. Those in favor of first reading, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. So ordered.
Bill number 273, Legislative Assembly Amendment Act, introduced by the honourable member, Mr. Gibault, is now read a first time.
Member for Lacombe, followed by the member for Clover Bar.
Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill number 279, Labor Relations Code Amendment Act. Mr. Speaker, this will strengthen the rights of individual workers if it's approved.
The honourable member for Lacombe has moved first reading of Bill 279, Labour Relations Code Amendment Act. Those in favour of first reading, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 279, Labor Relations Code Amendment Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Moore, is now read a first time.
Clover Bar.
Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill 249, the Heritage Savings Trust Fund Amendment Act. The purpose of this bill is to create a new environmental investment division under the Alberta Heritage Savings Trust Fund, which would allow investments from this division for projects that will provide both short and long-term benefits for Albertans through enhancement of our environment.
The honourable member for Clover Bar has moved first reading of Bill 249, Heritage Savings Trust Fund Amendment Act. Those in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 249, Heritage Savings Trust Fund Amendment Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Gazelle, is now read a first time.
Bar, Bill 250.
I beg leave to introduce Bill 250, the Individual Property Rights Protection Act. This act, if passed, will protect Albertans' individual property rights by ensuring that every Albertan has the right not to be deprived of the enjoyment of property except by due process of law.
The honourable member for Clover Bar has moved first reading to Bill 250, Individual Property Rights Protection Act. Those in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 250, Individual Property Rights Protection Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Gazelle, is now read a first time.
Drayton Valley, followed by Calgary McCall, followed by Edmonton Millwoods.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg leave to introduce Bill 260, the Livestock and Livestock Products Amendment Act, which is an amendment to protect sellers of livestock from having these livestock included as security in a bankruptcy or receivership action until they have been paid for in full.
The honourable member for Drayton Valley has moved first reading to Bill 260, Livestock and Livestock Products Amendment Act. Those in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
The Livestock and Livestock Products Amendment Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Thurber, is now read a first time.
Calgary McCall.
Mr. Speaker, I beg leave to introduce Bill 277, the Motor Vehicle Accident Claims Amendment Act. Mr. Speaker, this amendment is to allow for people involved in an accident not their responsibility and to ensure that they are able to recover the full cost of the injuries and the other benefits that may cost them during the course of the event.
The honourable member for Calgary McCall has moved first reading of Bill 277, Motor Vehicle Accident Claims Amendment Act. Those in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 277, Motor Vehicle Accident Claims Amendment Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Nelson, is now read a first time.
Edmonton Millwoods.
Request leave to introduce Bill number 300, the Public Service Employee Relations Amendment Act. This bill is passed, Mr. Speaker. It will allow employees of the Legislative Assembly the right to bargain collectively, the same right that's enjoyed by other workers in the province.
The member for Edmonton Millwoods has moved first reading of Bill 300, Public Service Employee Relations Amendment Act. Those in favour of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
300, Public Service Employee Relations Amendment Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Gibault, is now read a first time.
For Bow Valley, followed by Drayton Valley.
Mr. Speaker, I request leave to introduce Bill number 305, the Senior Citizens Gerontology Foundation which would have lottery money set up as a foundation of what the income would be used for studies in gerontology.
The honourable member for Bow Valley has moved first reading of Bill 305, Senior Citizens Gerontology Foundation. Those in favor of first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 305, Senior Citizens Gerontology Foundation, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Musgrove, is now read a first time.
Drayton Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg leave to introduce Bill number 307, known as the Farm Practices Protection Act. It's an act to permit legitimate farm operations to exist without fear of frivolous actions being brought against them for a perceived violation of noise, smell, and dust regulations.
The honourable member for Drayton Valley has moved first reading to Bill 307, Farm Practices Protection Act. Those in favor of first reading, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 307, Farm Practices Protection Act, introduced by the honourable member Mr. Thurber, is now read a first time.
Order, please. Thank you, clerk.
Tabling returns and reports.
In Jasper Place.
I wish to file 3 copies of excerpts from the Pete Marwick Stevenson Kellogg report entitled Prospects for Saskatchewan's Nuclear Industry and Its Potential Impact on the Provincial Economy in 1991 to 2020. This report is dated October 21st, 1991. You should know what you're putting $15 million in, gentlemen.
Attorney General.
I'd like to table 2 reports, the 1991 annual report, Department of Attorney General, and the 18th annual report, 1991, fiscal year ended March 31st for the Alberta Law Foundation.
Thank you. Minister of Education.
Speaker, I am filing with the Assembly today 7 reports relating to this government's focus on improving the quality of education in this province with a strong focus on results and quality and accountability. First of all, a statement of vision for the 1990s, a plan of action. Secondly, a report on achieving the vision for 1991, a progress report. Thirdly, international comparisons in education, a report on curriculum, values, and lessons prepared by, in cooperation with the Alberta Chamber of Resources. A 4th report on how are students doing, a September 1991 diploma exam report. 5th report, how are students doing, a December 1991 achievement testing report. And 6thly, a February 1992 report on Alberta's participation in an international examination on mathematics, science, and geography. And last, the January 1992 grade 12 diploma examination results, the examiner's report for 6 diploma examinations.
Thank you. Minister of Consumer and Corporate Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to table the 1990-91 annual report of the Department of Consumer and Corporate Affairs, as well as the 1990-91 annual report of the Alberta Securities Commission, both for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 1991.
Minister of the Environment.
Mr. Speaker, 3 tablings today. The first is a tabling in response to motion for return 311 proposed by the honourable member for Meadowlark on the hydrogeological evaluation of the Long Lake Regional Landfill. The second is a communique from the Canadian Council of Ministers of the Environment on accelerated control programs for chlorofluorocarbons. And the third is a communique also from that conference on Canada's approach to global environmental issues.
Edmonton Highlands.
Mr. Speaker, it's my pleasure to table or file with the Assembly a copy of a petition, I believe sponsored by some 1,400 nurses, asking for fairness in resolution of the underfunded pension liability problem that they are faced with because of the government's problem. And the covering letter that was, sent.
Can we just file them briefly, Honourable Member?
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you who the covering letter is. The covering letter, dated March 5th, 1992, is to the provincial treasurer outlining their concerns.
Introduction of special guests.
West Yellowhead.
I'd like to introduce to you and through you to the members of the Legislative Assembly 43 seniors from Hinton who have worked hard to raise over $76,000 to assist in cooperation with the government in building a seniors extended care unit in the town of Hinton. These seniors are led by Mabel Lee and Grace Hart, and I would ask them to stand and receive the warm welcome of the Legislative Assembly.
Ministerial statements.
Points of to question period, Honourable Minister, please. Thank you.
Oral question period.
Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, as we know, Alberta's in a difficult recession, finally admitted to by this government, Mr. Speaker. That's a recent change of events for them. Mr. Speaker, as a result of their waste and mismanagement, however, we also have a growing deficit, Mr. Speaker, probably close to $13.5 billion. Due to this government's incompetence with taxpayers' money, Mr. Speaker, we've wasted millions and millions and millions of dollars on loans and loan guarantees to their friends, Mr. Speaker. I want to talk about one example, the Magnesium Company of Canada, Mr. Speaker, which was a 1986 promise, election promise coming from the Premier of this province. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is still bleeding taxpayers' wallets, even though the plant went down a year ago. Now the government can't even sell the plant, Mr. Speaker, because apparently they don't own it. Now, my question to the Minister of Economic Development and International Trade, will the minister tell us in this assembly why the Alberta government has not yet taken possession of a company which failed and cost 145 Albertans their jobs almost a year ago, Mr. Speaker?
What's he doing?
Mr. Speaker, as the Honourable Leader of the Opposition has indicated, we recognize that there is a fragility within our economy because we are going through a world recession. But we've been somewhat buffered against that because of the economic diversification policies of this government. And I quote Mr. Speaker, this is one year when the grass does not look greener elsewhere. Edmonton and Alberta are in a better economic position than other cities in Canada. Our advantages outweigh our problems. Mr. Speaker, that is a quote from the honourable member's colleague, the mayor of the city of Edmonton, whereby she recognizes that our province offers a number of opportunities, as does the city, because this government has been very involved in making sure that there are jobs for Albertans. We're going to continue with those strong economic thrusts, Mr. Speaker, because we recognize we've got an obligation to provide jobs for Albertans.
Supplementary.
Nice to see you perform, Peter.
Mr. Speaker, that wasn't even a clever evasion, Mr. Speaker. I asked about MagCan. That's not in Edmonton, it's in High River, in case the minister didn't understand that question. Mr. Speaker, but this government is now paying roughly $33,000 each and every day for interest in this company, Mr. Speaker. At a time when we don't have money for education or health care or money for the poor, there it goes out, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, my question to the minister is simply this. Given that this fiasco continues to cost the taxpayers of Alberta millions of dollars in interest every day the government does not settle this matter, what is the minister doing in terms of the MagCan situation to solve this problem? What is he doing? Don't give us a speech.
Mr. Speaker, I think it only fair if the honourable member wishes to involve himself in a preamble that we also respond to the preamble as well as to the question. So let me respond to his preamble and then come to the question. The honourable member suggests that we cut back in health care and education, which is a falsehood. We've increased year over year on a yearly basis our expenditures to those areas so that we can continue with the excellence in health care and educational systems.
as it relates to his question, I'm amazed at the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that he does not realize that the administration, as it relates to MAGCAN, falls under the provincial treasurer. The Honourable Member should do his homework prior to putting the questions in this Legislative Assembly.
Well, Mr. Speaker, you're both incompetent. It doesn't matter which one we ask. Mr. Speaker, but the minister is in charge of economic development.
Right.
Surely he must be up to date on this. Its cost is probably now $115 million, Mr. Speaker, when we add the interest charges. And my question simply to this minister, will he now finally admit that Albertans stand to lose all or most of this $115 million because of their incompetence, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member, again, if he talks about incompetence, he is the prince of incompetence. Because all one has to do is look back to Hansard in the previous session, whereby we answered the very question that he put.
Second main question, Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, it's going to be an interesting session, I can see. We are going to have some fun. Mr. Speaker, it's MAGCAN and High River. You remember? Okay, Mr. Speaker, my second question is to the Minister of Consumer and Corporate Affairs. Mr. Speaker, from mismanagement to mismanagement and patronage, Mr. Speaker. Albertans are very familiar now with the controversy surrounding one Mr. Joe Dutton, former head of business immigration to Alberta in Hong Kong. Mr. Speaker, they may be less familiar with the fact that an offering memorandum for his shopping center fiasco was filed with the Alberta Securities Commission, which the minister is in charge of, Mr. Speaker. My question to the minister is simply this. Has the Minister of Consumer and Corporate Affairs reviewed the offering memorandum for Western Canadian Shopping Centres Incorporated to ensure that the terms and conditions of Alberta securities laws were met?
Mr. Speaker, with respect to the Honourable Leader's question, the Alberta Securities Commission is an arm's-length semi-judicial body that's attached to this government. Though that body does assess offering memoranda and other securities law requirements as is required. This minister does not interfere with what they do. He does, however, draw to their attention areas which they should look into, and this would be one of those.
Mr. Speaker, my question, clearly under Section 33 of the Securities Act, the minister has the authority to order an investigation. My question has, in view of the circumstances and the publicity in this matter, has the minister done anything about this in looking under the Securities Act? Yes or no?
No. Mr. Speaker, yes. I have asked the Securities Commission to review anything that might relate directly to Alberta and to respond in the same way they would with any other company anywhere else in this province.
Mr. Speaker, simply this. If you look at the Act, and I have it here in front of me, they're offering, Mr. Speaker, it says the corporation will use the subscription proceeds from the offering to carry on the business of acquiring and developing commercial, non-residential property in the province of Saskatchewan, Mr. Speaker. They didn't do that. They went into industrial, Mr. Speaker. My question to the minister, in view of this, will he now look at this again and tell us if they've gone against the offering, Mr. Speaker? That's what I'm trying to get from the minister.
Right.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what I'm trying to get to the Honourable Leader is that the Alberta Securities Commission is, and I suspect the Honourable Leader would like it to remain, an arm's-length body of the government. And I have asked them to review anything that might be associated to ensure that it's been in keeping with Alberta law. They will do that, and they will reach a conclusion. This minister, this government, won't influence that conclusion because we do believe in the semi-judicial, arm's-length, independent review of our securities law.
Leader of the Liberal Party, Edmonton Glengarry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my questions are to the Minister of Multiculturalism. The Minister of Multiculturalism has been rather committed to defend the statements made by the Premier in his January speech to the Rotary Club in Edmonton. And we know that the Minister of Multiculturalism has more technical knowledge on these matters than perhaps the Premier does. My question to the Minister is this, and I'd like him to be specific if he could. Which Canadian laws impose multiculturalism on Canadians?
Mr. Speaker, the laws for which I have responsibility are laws passed in this legislature. The law most recently passed was the Department of Culture and Multiculturalism Amendment Act, which we dealt with in 1990, and which dealt in broad terms the goals and aims of our multiculturalism policy, which is, of course, to involve all Albertans in the political, social, economic, and cultural life of our province. And that is the law with which I am charged with upholding, and that is the law with which I am familiar, and that is the law which this Assembly has passed.
Mr. Speaker, the legislation that we have in Alberta that pertains to multiculturalism creates a commission and creates a foundation. Some people even suggest imposes a commission and imposes a foundation. I'd like to know from the Minister if he sees any legislation that now exists in Alberta as being an imposition of multiculturalism on Albertans.
You know, Mr. Speaker, during this time in Alberta's economy when people are anxious for this Assembly to deal in a meaningful manner with the economic issues before us, with the difficult times that many Albertans are facing, the Liberal leader continues to deal on matters that have been dealt with by this House and which are so patently obvious to anybody who would take 5 seconds to examine them that it seems almost ridiculous to waste the House's time in answering these. However, let me number one correct the member. The legislation does not impose a commission and a foundation. It rather expands an existing commission and creates an advisory council. And, Mr. Speaker, those people who are involved in that commission are dedicated Albertans. They don't feel an imposition. They feel rather they are doing a service to the people of Alberta in drawing people together. As I said in my remarks earlier in this session, many of us came here on different boats, but we're all in the same boat together, and that is the aim of our multiculturalism policies, multicultural laws as well, to have all of us pulling on the oars of the good ship Alberta together.
Thank you. I'm feeling somewhat submerged. Banff Cochrane, followed by West Yellowhead. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Wrong switch here. Please.
Not too technical and not too knowledgeable. I'd like to put my last question to the Minister then. Does the Minister contemplate any changes to Alberta legislation with respect to multiculturalism or the initiative, multiculturalism initiative, that deals with bilingual education?
No, Mr. Speaker. As a matter of fact, if the member is suggesting that somehow there's a pernicious plan abroad in the land to do away with all the good things we're doing, he is absolutely dead wrong. And for him to begin to suggest that kind of a thing with that kind of a question is, again, just a falsehood. Mr. Speaker, this government, the Premier, the Minister, the Chairman of the Commission, the Legislative Assembly, our government, is committed to the goals that we've already stated that we've been committed to, that were laid out in that legislation. A motion presented by one of the opposition members earlier in the week suggested things along the line that we reaffirm our support of multiculturalism, a positive characteristic. We've already done that. That benefit Alberta would.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Thank you, Honourable Minister. Banff Cochrane.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. My question today is to the Minister of Tourism, Recreation and Parks, or Parks and Recreation. The economic downturn worldwide has had a negative impact on tourism in the province of Alberta. There are a number of operators who've had a very challenging time in the last 12 to 14 months, both province-wide and in my constituency. As an advocate for the tourism industry in Alberta, what is this minister doing to assist the industry in these very difficult and challenging times?
Mr. Speaker, it has been a trying time in 1991 for the tourism industry. It was anticipated we would have a flat year. Recent figures show that we are up over last year from 2.59 billion to 2.77 billion, because we did have increases in our international markets. We were a safe haven. We did have problems with a reduction in eastern Canada and not as many Canadians coming to Alberta. But we do have the industry at heart. Yesterday we talked, the Minister of Economic Development talked about Towards 2000 Together. We in tourism have a similar process, which is part and parcel of that program. Tourism 2000, a vision for the future, is being designed now and will be part and parcel of the overall economic strategy into the future with Towards 2000 Together. We've also this year, Mr. Speaker, put in a 5-year marketing strategy that is to be start this year and have marketing programs in geographic marketing areas of in Alberta, regional, North America, UK, Europe, and Asia Pacific. And each of those plans...
Honourable Minister, let's save something for a supplementary.
Speaker, with respect to the Minister's comments about the Tourism 2000 initiative, when can Albertans in general and the tourism industry expect the strategy of the department to be made public?
This is in the preliminary stage. I expect to have a report early this summer, and it definitely will be part and parcel and dovetailed into Towards 2000 Together, so that, as the Minister stated yesterday, the total economic strategy for the province would, tourism would be part and parcel of that. And we're hoping that the committee that's meeting here on Thursday with our final symposium can get their work done and bring it forward early in June.
Yellowhead, followed by Edmonton Goldbar.
Mr. Speaker, the people of Hinton have been and continue to be victims of broken promises by this government in 1983, 1986, and 1989 for an extended care unit in Hinton. Mr. Speaker, the need for this facility is well documented. I'd like to table copies of a videotape taken in Hinton 25 days ago and send one copy through to the Minister of Health for her observation.
Member, you're wasting your time. You're wasting the time of question period. Take your place, please. You know full well that you're supposed to do your tablings at the other time. It's much more convenient than wasting the time of question period. Now we're looking forward to hearing your question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over and over again, families spoke of their heartbreak, guilt, and anger, and as well as resulting loneliness, despair, and worsening health of loved ones who have spent many hours far from home. Can we stop this pain and loneliness and keep families together, said one woman. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Minister if she would show that she has heard from the people of Hinton and act on her government's long-standing commitment to complete this project in Hinton.
Mr. Speaker, I find it rather surprising, some of the comments made by the honourable member, particularly when he looks at his own party's view with respect to rural hospital building throughout this province. But perhaps he can answer to himself and his own constituents. I was also surprised earlier today to hear that the member had some guests in the Assembly, and I was pleased to find them in the building and meet with them. I certainly recognize how important the long-term care project is for the people of Hinton and area. And certainly it means that as we look at the 31 projects that are on the deferred list, part of our budgetary challenge is to continue to bring projects off of that list, as we've done over the last several years, and are, as the member should know, building at a level of $130 million of capital in the province this year. This means, however, that some of the projects aren't going to proceed as quickly as we all would like, but the assurance I gave the people from the town of Hinton who were here today, and which I give to this Assembly now, is that we certainly want the project to proceed as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's strange they have lots of money for MAGCAM. The seniors and their families all over this province have been waiting and dying for years for this government to get their act together.
Right.
Mr. Speaker, in 1990, the Minister of Health promised a priority list for long-term care so that rural Albertans would know when these facilities they expect would be delivered. Does the Minister expect me to go back to the people of Hinton and tell them that this government doesn't keep its promises and cannot be trusted?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member can do whatever he wishes to do with his own constituents. I met with them today and assured them that we would make the project proceed as soon as we possibly could, and they will all proceed on the basis of the greatest health need first, and then they will follow.
Edmonton Goldbar.
Here, let me see what I can find out here. Mr. Speaker, despite the rhetoric in the throne speech, the government is still making life pretty difficult for seniors in Alberta. This one determined and committed group has raised over $77,000 towards planning and construction of the extended care facility in Hinton. I want to ask the Minister of Health exactly when is construction going to begin on this. Let's have a look at the priority list, Madam Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, again, I think this member of this party should look at her own leaders carrying his wallet, holding it up there for all of us to see. I am very proud as a Minister of Health that the resources that we dedicate not only to the capital, but to the operating support of health in this province. And we can all be proud as members of this Assembly for the kinds and qualities of service that we have. With respect to raising dollars in the community, I think the member raises a very legitimate question. Should the precedence be based on who has the fiscal capacity to provide the resources, or should the precedence be based on what is the most important health interest? As a government, we have opted for saying that the greatest health need is the one that must proceed first. I don't belittle in any way the kind of work that the people from this constituency have done to support that program, and I thank them for it. I think, however, we have to assess them. As for tabling the lists in the Assembly, I think the honourable member will have to wait, as she well knows, for the tabling of the budget to know which projects will proceed and which will not in the current fiscal or the next fiscal year.
For freedom of information, Mr. Speaker, I hope that list of priorities will be in front of us in the budget. Mr. Speaker, my supplementary to the Minister is, will the Minister then please tell us how you rationalize this position with the family grid that we've recently been treated to, Mr. Speaker. Item 4 says, seek to support and strengthen families to decrease potential for family crisis. How does the Hinton situation jibe with that?
Mr. Speaker, welcome to the world of health. I realize that others may have made different decisions with respect to what capital projects should have proceeded in this fiscal year. But let's look at what is going on in that $130 million. The Royal Alexandra Hospital, the Cross Cancer Institute, facilities up in Valley View, facilities in Calgary, the Calgary General Hospital, the Holy Cross Hospital. Those are commitments to family. Can we do everything at once that everybody wants? No, we can't. But we can do, in an orderly basis, within the fiscal capacity of our province, those projects most needed on a health basis. And that is the commitment of this government to health in this province.
Smoky River.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've recently received calls from parents whose children are enrolled in the Royal Conservatory of Music program at the Grand Prairie College. They're concerned that there may indeed be a partial cutback of the funding of this most beneficial and important program. To the Minister of Advanced Education, would the Minister please clarify the role that his department plays in the funding of this important program?
Mr. Speaker, Grand Prairie Regional College is
one of how many?
One of the 17 or 27 institutions that serve over 100,000 people. They have the University Transfer Program, Mr. Speaker, which has as an integral part of that program music. Under our Bill 27, which was passed last year in the Assembly, there can be no deletion of a program affecting a credit program for a student that's enrolled without that coming to the Minister of Advanced Education, and as yet I've yet to receive that from Grand Prairie College.
Thank you. Also to the Minister of Advanced Education. I understand the music program, which is developed in conjunction with the education faculty, remains untouched. Does that mean that we can expect a degree completion program to be announced in Grand Prairie in the near future?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as members are aware, I think it was in December I announced that we were looking at the whole question of expanding degree-granting institutions, and one of those items would be degree completion for perhaps regional colleges. As I indicated then, Mr. Speaker, the government has taken a very major initiative in Toward 2000 Together. There's a human resources study going on, and I would hope that at the conclusion of that study, perhaps 12 to 18 months, the government would be in a far better position to make a firm decision on the whole question of expanding degree-granting facilities.
Westlawn.
Due to downloading on the part of the provincial government, the Calgary Board of Education is looking at proposals that would both substantially reduce local taxes and reduce support services for handicapped children. My question, Mr. Speaker, is to the Minister of Education. What steps does the Minister intend to take that would ensure that the special needs of these handicapped students are met?
Well, Mr. Speaker, every single school board in this province has a responsibility to deliver services and education services to every single child who is a resident student of that school district, no matter how or what ability that child comes to the front door of that school with. This government provides funding this year in the order of nearly $1.7 billion taxpayers' dollars, combined with another $1 billion in local supplementary requisition. And I suggest, Mr. Speaker, that to the Calgary Board of Education, that the nearly 7% average annual increase in funding that the provincial taxpayers have contributed over the last 3 years, 7% per year, is a significant amount of money that can be used to meet the needs of these young children, whether they're special education students or any other kind of students. And I'd suggest to the Calgary Board of Education, as we have to all school boards, that rather than looking for more and more and more money, that school boards start focusing more on achieving identifiable, clearly defined objectives and focus on results rather than simply focusing on more and more and more money.
Speaker, the Minister's own special education review process has suggested that his department should take the lead in establishing cooperation between government departments. Well, given that the Calgary Board is no longer able to provide physiotherapy or occupational therapy to handicapped students, and given that these are more properly the responsibility of the health system, what is the Minister doing to get agreement from his colleague, the Minister of Health, to fund these essential health services in schools?
Hear, hear. Mr. Speaker, I would put to the honourable member, as my colleague, the Minister of Health, has talked about today, that both the health care system, including the Calgary Boards of Health and other regional boards of health in the Calgary area, as well as the education systems in this province, are very well funded by provincial taxpayer dollars. And I have to ask the honourable question, a rhetorical question perhaps, is it the taxpayers' responsibility to continue to feed the insatiable appetite of school boards and other public institutions like that for more and more money, or is it the school board's responsibility to live within the taxpayers' means?
Edmonton Avonmore, please. Order, please. Order, please. McKnight, Edmonton Avonmore.
Mr. Speaker, my questions are to the Minister of Health. Mr. Speaker, Whitewash, a new Canadian book by Liz Armstrong and Adrian Scott presents the health risks posed to women and children who use sanitary products widely advertised as being safe and environmentally friendly. The authors also demonstrate the failure of governments and companies to protect the well-being of women and children. For example, Mr. Speaker, in Canada, such products as tongue depressors, bandages, and dental floss are subject to government testing and regulation, but sanitary products can be placed on the market without prior evidence of safety or efficacy. To the Minister, will the Minister now commit to take these issues to the Federal Minister of Health to investigate in a thorough manner those concerns about the health risks posed to women and children by the use of chlorine bleach craft paper products? Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware of the study which has been cited by the honourable member, and I should be, and I'm not. But I'll certainly look into it, and if appropriate, I would be pleased to take her suggestion and have it reviewed by the Federal Ministry of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the Minister of Health for that answer. Mr. Speaker, my second question is to the Minister of Consumer and Corporate Affairs. Mr. Speaker, again, we have discovered the manufacturing sector promoting products at the peril of women and children and the environment, and public information on this matter is deficient. Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, given the concerns raised by this book and elsewhere in the literature, will the Minister commit to launching a public awareness campaign about the health and environmental hazards posed by these products?
Hear, hear. Mr. Speaker, I too haven't read the book or seen a copy of it. If the honourable member would like to send me information she thinks particularly pertinent, I'd be glad to consider it. I might say that product testing, determination of whether a product is meeting its advertising goals, is a federal responsibility. I'd be glad if there are particular products that Alberta women and children are facing that have some difficulty to discuss those with federal officials.
Northwest.
Question today is to the Minister for Economic Development and Trade. Mr. Speaker, the government has once again put taxpayer money at risk in another loan guarantee in an attempt to pick winners, this time $13.9 million to Golden Gate Fresh Foods Incorporated, located in Lodi, California. My question to the Minister is very simply this: since the plant has now shut its doors as of December 1991, how much of this loan is at risk?
Mr. Speaker, I'm more than happy to take that on notice for the provincial treasurer and whose responsibility that falls.
Mr. Speaker, the order in council reads upon the recommendation of the Minister for Economic Development and Trade, not the treasurer. Since the government has expressed a new commitment to access to information, will the Minister then commit to at least tabling the agreement between the government and Golden Gate Fried Foods with respect to this $13.9 million?
Mr. Speaker, my answer is the same as it was for the first question.
Innisfail.
Mr. Speaker, last summer the federal and provincial agriculture ministers met and agreed to consult producers on the Western Grain Transportation Act. I understand that facilitators were hired and held some 140 meetings across Canada, most of them in the prairies. My question to the Minister of Agriculture is, when will the facilitators be making their report?
Mr. Speaker, the facilitators have made an interim report to the federal minister and the provincial ministers. I would suggest or expect the final report about mid-April. The interim report would indicate that there is strong support in Alberta for pay-the-producer concept as opposed to pay-the-railway. Strong support in Saskatchewan for maintaining the status quo, and a very mixed viewpoint in the province of Manitoba.
My supplementary, Mr. Speaker, there were 5 options outlined in the transportation talks document which was handed out at the meetings. My question to the Minister, are any of these options acceptable under the Dunkel proposal?
Mr. Speaker, if the Dunkel text were to become the agreement, the GATT agreement, the 2 last options in the transportation talks documents, one the buyout and the other paying it out to the farmers through a NISA account, would probably both fit in the green box. If the buyout is similar to the Alberta government's freedom to choose proposal, where it would be bonded out based upon arable acres adjusted for productivity and distance, it would definitely fit the green box, and we could retain that benefit to Western Canada into perpetuity. Depending on how the NISA program is finalized would depend on whether or not it would fit into that program would fit into the green box. Maintaining the status quo would be subject to rather significant reductions. Paying it to producers on an ongoing basis would be subject to rather significant reductions.
Mr. Speaker, in addition to having to suffer the ravages of agriculture that are general across the province, producers in northeastern Alberta suffered with extremely dry conditions last year and low production as a result. Meetings were held in Willingdon in August and again in November, with over 1,000 people turning out in each case to lobby the government for some form of assistance. And there's been ongoing meetings between the minister and a committee of reeves from the area lobbying for implementation of a disaster assistance program which would make interest-free loans available to producers who qualify, similar to programs put in place elsewhere in the province. So far, that hasn't happened, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to ask the minister if he's waiting in typical Conservative fashion for a politically opportune time to announce this disaster assistance program, or is the answer really a definite no?
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member is quite correct in his summarization of meetings that have occurred and a concern that has been expressed. Early last fall, we responded with an emergency water response program. We subsequently followed that up with a supplemental water response program. The Alberta Hail and Crop Insurance Corporation cooperated very diligently and provided quick assessments in the Northeast and a higher than normal payout to the Northeast area of the anticipated payouts under the Revenue Insurance Program. We've applied all the broad-based generic tests that were used to determine disaster areas in other parts of the province. I notified the reeves of the Northeast prior to Christmas that under the criteria used in the past, the conditions in the Northeast would not dictate that our 1 year of drought constituted a disaster. The reeves appealed that. We finally said, look, we'll assess it on an individual farm basis. If you've got farmers that wish to come forward and open their books, we carried that out, still to no avail. It would appear that programs like crop insurance, like the Gross Revenue Insurance Program, like forage insurance and pasture insurance are responding very well to drought conditions.
Mr. Speaker, the producers in northeastern Alberta certainly don't have that impression. The conditions are desperate there, and I'm wondering if the minister will confirm that the real reason this disaster assistance program hasn't come forward is that the Minister of Agriculture has no influence in Cabinet and that Conservative MLAs from northeastern Alberta have no influence in caucus.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member can judge whatever way he likes as to how much influence the minister has in Cabinet. The honourable member should also be aware, as a Northeast MLA, that a press release was issued a little over a week ago summarizing what had occurred and saying this is the final response. The honourable member should also know, if he checks with his farmers, that GRIP, the Gross Revenue Insurance Program, worked extremely well in the county of Lindgren.
Edmonton Millwoods, followed by Calgary McKnight.
My questions today are to the Solicitor General, who is the Minister responsible for professions and occupations. After much delay, the government's interdepartmental task force on the qualifications of foreign graduated professionals has now submitted its report and recommendations to the government. This report has been eagerly awaited by the many, many immigrant professionals in our province who have encountered all kinds of barriers to practicing their various professions or occupations here in the province. So my question to the Minister, given the government's commitment in the throne speech to access to information, will the Solicitor General now stop any further stalling and release the task force report along with the government's response to the report's recommendations? Will you do that today?
Mr. Speaker, the member has identified a very important area in our society today, and I can assure this Assembly that as Minister, as Solicitor General, I'll be working with the other departments in our government to look at this very important issue and the results of the review that have been going on to make a positive progress in this area in the future.
I asked for a date.
Well, he tabled the report and he didn't answer the question, so I repeat it, but let me just follow it up with a supplementary. After the report is tabled, I'd like to ask
the Solicitor General how much credibility he thinks he was going to have with groups like the Alberta Association of Immigrant Professionals and others who are involved in this issue when published reports have indicated that he gets his jollies abusing immigrants in public places.
Order. Order.
The member has violated at least 2 sections of Beauchesne within the space of about 50 words. Go back and read Beauchesne.
Calgary McKnight. Mr. Speaker, I also want to mention the issue of foreign professional qualifications, but I address my question to the Minister of Labour. I would like to ask the Minister, when this report is tabled, and we do hope it is soon, will the Minister also table a plan of action and some timelines so that the government will not be able to stall for another 3 years? Mr. Speaker, the Chair of Professions and Occupations Bureau may wish to supplement my answer because, of course, she's been spearheading very ably this important research. As the Solicitor General mentioned, there have been several of us who have been avidly following the course of its progress. The report took us much longer to put together than we had anticipated because the breadth of the subject and the number of stakeholders was very wide, and we wanted to ensure that we consulted with each and every one of those stakeholders to the extent we could, and to truly delineate the whole field. The report is an exciting one, and I can say to you that we are going to release it publicly, and that will be very soon. I would encourage the Chair of the Professional and Occupations Bureau to supplement my answer. The task force has done a wonderful job. It's been an interdepartmental report. We've had a lot of public input, and the report will be available probably the first part of next week. The delay currently is just trying to figure out how this area will be funded. And this, of course, is a very important question with regards to the budget. But once the report is released, I believe that all members of the Legislative Assembly will feel that it is an important one to endorse and implement. Thank you.
On a question, please.
We have had the opportunity to meet with a number of constituents who've expressed a concern with regards to the number of taxpayers' dollars moving south of the border to treat people with drug and alcohol addiction, particularly the adolescents. We now know that there are a number of programs here in Alberta that can probably be used for our adolescents and others, and I'm wondering if the Minister of Health could explain why those taxpayers' dollars are still moving south of the border and why they couldn't be implemented into the programs that are here in Alberta.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, the proportion of
Albertans going into the U.S. for addiction treatment is relatively small, some 500 compared to 33,000 admissions to ADAC and its funded agencies in the last fiscal year. Nonetheless, we are concerned that Albertans must go out of the province to find treatment, and concerned that perhaps those Albertans aren't aware of what is available within Alberta before they make a decision at a very difficult and pressured time in their families' lives, I'm sure. So what we have put in place is a prior approval process before any of these programs will be approved for payment out of the Alberta Healthcare Insurance Fund. That process will ensure that first we exhaust all opportunities in Alberta, then all opportunities in Canada, before we will consider out-of-country placement. As Minister of Health, I am only responsible and can only speak for the Healthcare Insurance Fund. We do not fund community residential programs out of the Healthcare Insurance Fund, but certainly will fund physician-based acute care programs, whether they are within Alberta or outside of Alberta. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to direct a supplementary question to the chairman of ADAC. And there have been the Alberta Adolescent Recovery Centre recently opened in Calgary, and I was wondering if ADAC will be working with the centre in helping them provide the program that would be in-house.
Mr. Speaker, ADAC has been involved with the assistance in developing the program of the Alberta Alcohol Alberta Adolescent Recovery Center since its inception, originally as Kids of the Canadian West. They have developed an exceptionally good program to assist in the care of young people in the province of Alberta for recovery in alcohol and other substance abuses, as well as other disorders. Mr. Speaker, Alberta has, without a doubt, today, exceptional programs for adolescent care, unmatched anywhere in Canada, and in fact, probably in the United States. And as far as I'm concerned, with the support of the government, Mr. Speaker, there is, in general terms, no reason for young people to have to go to the States. There is a misconception that because it is an American program, it is better. That is not the case. Alberta has exceptional programs that can meet the needs of Albertans in all age groups, and particularly our adolescents.
Mr. Speaker, the New Democrat caucus spent the autumn and winter traveling throughout the province, particularly visiting rural Albertans, asking people what they wanted government to do. And the thing that we heard time and again, Mr. Speaker, time and again, was that long-term health care facilities are needed in a lot of rural communities. They don't need more little acute care hospitals with high-tech equipment. In some cases, it still has yet to be unpacked. They're looking for a long-term care strategy. And I'd like to ask the minister today if she's got a strategy in mind to develop combined nursing home, auxiliary hospital, community care clinics that will service these people in communities.
Good question.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I also remember when the government said that they were going to have a Premier's Commission on the future of health care. That took 2 years, and then they had to take 2 years to respond to the Premier's Commission. My question to the minister is this. If she has a strategy, will she tell the Assembly sometime during the next week or two, or are we going to have to wait another 4 years while these people suffer in rural Alberta?
Mr. Speaker, she got, I remember for Edmonton House doesn't have to wait at all. I tell her right now what the process and what the procedure is. Following the very effective work of the Premier's Commission on Future Health Care, a response to which I think was a yesterday, we spoke about the whole issue of using the infrastructure that we have in Alberta to better advantage in the 90s than perhaps for the purpose that it was built in the 70s and 80s and the 80s. The process is one that government doesn't believe it has all the answers on. I mean, perhaps the New Democratic Caucus does, but we don't believe we do in government. Rather, the process that we're following is to have a very immense work being done throughout this province to define the role of health facilities. The first step is completed, and that's to say, this is what our facility is doing today. The second step, which is just about completed, is this is where we want to be 10 years or 20 years from now. The third step is to share those statements with others in the area to look at perhaps a changing role for existing health facilities and to complement those with perhaps new facilities so that we can in fact reflect the spectrum, which was the dream of the Premier's Commission and frankly the dream and the desire of this government for the province and for the people of Alberta.
In the question period, the chair thinks that it is with respect to some comments made by Edmonton Mill Ridge and the document will be perused